What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're going to be talking about something special, in honor of May the 4th be with you. We're going to be going over Star Wars Magic the Gathering Commander cards. Please, take a peek. Starting off, we have Luke Skywalker, Chosen One. 1 white, 1 blue, legendary creature human Jedi with training. Prodigy. Whenever a creature trains Luke, that creature gets 2 +1/+1 counters, and both creatures gain, when this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card until end of turn. So basically, if a creature with greater power than Luke swings, Luke will give that creature 2/1 counters so that it can continue to train him. And then when either of them connect, you draw a card. So if both of them connect, you draw 2 cards. Pretty good deal for a 1/3. He doesn't have any evasion, however, so you will have to give him some of that yourself. Next up we have Yoda, Master Tutor. For red, green, you get a legendary creature Jedi, Haste, Mentor, Swamp Walk, Evasive Stature. If damage would be dealt to Yoda by a source with mana value 3 or less, prevent that damage. Inspiring Teacher. A creature mentored by Yoda gets +2/+2 and trample until end of turn. 5/1. So a 4 mana 5/1 haste that then can pump something and has Swamp Walk. Makes sense, he did grow up in the swamp. He also doesn't have a creature type other than Jedi because George Lucas never actually said what race Yoda is. But anyway, he doesn't take damage from anything with CMC 3 or less. He does only have 1 toughness though, so if you manage to deal him a single point of damage with a 4 CMC card or greater, be it by blocking or, burning him with some overpriced burn spell, he does die to that. He only has 1 toughness. But he does immediately swing in for 5 on any black player you're playing because he has Swamp Walk, and he can give something a 1/1 counter from Mentor, and then give that creature an additional 2/2 trample. Pretty good. Next up is Jabba the Hutt. For 3 black, green, you get a 5/8 legendary creature, Hutt. He has Possessive. Whenever a non-token artifact is put into an opponent's graveyard, exile it with a collector counter on it, and you gain 1 life. Then he has Collector. You may play cards exiled with collector counters on them from exile, as long as they remain exiled. So he's a big boy. A 5/8, that's a big dude. But he is also a big dude, so I guess that's fitting. It also makes sense that he would be profiting from stealing your stuff, your trinkets, your artifact creatures, and it's also important to remember that because they have counters on them, he can play them from exile even when he's not on the battlefield. He just can't get more of them. Here's a deep cut. Commander Cody, Loyal Soldier. For 2 blue-green, you get a 3/3 legendary creature human soldier with Vigilance and Ward 1. He has Stormtroopers. Non-legendary creature spells you cast have Squad X, where X is half their mana value rounded up. Tokens created this way are named Stormtrooper and are soldiers in addition to their other types. For those of you that don't know, Squad is a mechanic where when you cast a creature, you can pay an additional cost to make multiple copies of that creature that enter the battlefield as tokens. So let's say you cast a 4-drop, you can pay 2 mana to make another one, and then you can pay 4 mana to make 2 more that enter before this guy enters. So, pretty good. It doesn't work with legendaries because it does change their name, and that could get bananas. Han Solo, Bounty Hunter. 2 white-black for a 6/3 legendary creature human rogue. First strike, Menace. After all, Han did strike first. He has highest bounty. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each opponent secretly chooses a number. Each opponent loses X life, where X is the number they chose, and you gain Y life, where Y is the greatest life paid. Han can only attack the player who paid the least life this way. So it's a big dude that has First Strike and Menace, and he can really mess you up. But you can basically never have him attack you as long as you're, paying up. This also profits the attacker, even though they don't really get to choose who they swing at, unless there are ties. So if everyone pays 0, you can attack whoever you want. If even one person pays 1 life, you'll gain 1 life, and then you can only attack the other 2 people, and that person is safe. So it's a little bit of a mind game with your opponents. Darth Maul, Dark Reflection. For 2 red-black, you get a 2/4 First Strike with Reflect attacks. Whenever damage would be dealt to Darth Maul, prevent that damage and deal it to target opponent. This ability only triggers once each turn. Sort of like a one-time stuffy doll. If an opponent tries to burn him out with, let's say, a Blasphemous Act, he won't die at all. He'll just deal 13 to whoever he wants. But if they deal him damage first, then do the board wipe, it'll still happen. Important to remember, this is your own damage too. So if you try to deal a big burn spell to him, you can then throw that damage at your opponents, but then his protection will be gone for the turn, and then your opponent can then follow up with their removal. Here's the big boy himself, Darth Vader, Supreme Commander. For 3 blue-black, you get a 4/4 legendary creature human Sith, with, of course, Menace. He has Dark Lord. When Darth Vader attacks, he gets +1/+1 for each tapped creature opponents control. Then he has Force Choke. When Darth Vader deals combat damage to a player, tap up to 1 target creature for each opponent, then put a stun counter on each tapped creature opponents control. This guy can get out of hand very fast, but he needs to get that initial connection first. So when he connects, he then will tap 1 person for each opponent, and then put a stun counter on all of their creatures that are tapped. Not just the ones that he tapped with his ability. So if you're able to tap down all of your opponent's stuff and then smack someone with Darth Vader, you get to freeze all their stuff. Then they have to find a way to get rid of him. He doesn't have any protection himself, but he can also get very big and one-shot people. You gotta be careful with those spooky Siths, And here's a unique one. Cal Kestis, Grand Adventurer. For white-green, you get a legendary creature human Jedi with lifelink. He has Weapon Master. As long as Cal is equipped with only 1 equipment, he gets +2/+2. Then he has Clever Tactician. As long as Cal is equipped with an equipment of mana value 3 or less, he gains First Strike. If Cal is equipped with an equipment of mana value 4 or greater, he instead gains Trample. And partner with BD1 Loyal Droid. Then we have BD1 Loyal Droid. For 1 mana, you get a 0/1 legendary artifact creature robot. Reconfigure with legendary creature 1. Reconfigure 3. Equipped creature gains Hexproof. Partner with Cal Kestis, Grand Adventurer. Cal is unique in the sense that it is the only card that ever cares about having exactly 1 equipment on it. He'll actually punish you for having multiple equipments on him, as he won't get the bonus from Weapon Master, and if you have a 3 or less and a 4 or greater equipment on him, he will only gain Trample. Still good, but, you have to choose your equipments wisely with this one. Also, BD1 comes down turn 1 and can equip for a single mana to give any legendary creature Hexproof, which is very good. It is almost like slightly different Swiftfoot boots, but in the command zone. This doesn't just work with Cal, of course. This can go in any commander deck if you just want to protect your commander. And of course, It does have some drawback. It is only an 01 that is an artifact, so it dies to pretty much everything. But even just equipping BD1 to Cal, you are basically paying 2 +1/+1 4 mana for a 4/4 lifelink first strike hexproof. It's pretty good. Now we have Din Dejar the Mandalorian. For 1 white-red, you get a 3/3 legendary creature human Mandalorian with first strike vigilance. He has Little Buddy. When Din enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 legendary green creature token named Grogu with this creature has hexproof as long as you control a creature named Din Dejar the Mandalorian. Creatures you control named Din Dejar the Mandalorian get +2/+2. He also has This Is the Way. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may untap target creature an opponent controls. That creature must block this turn if able. So basically, it comes in, makes little dude. The little dude ain't gonna do much, but he does buff Din. And then Din has an ability to untap an opponent's creature and then force it to block. It's not to block him if you swing with multiple creatures, but if you swing with just him, it does. This makes him lethal at removing threats. And having first strike vigilance means that he's safe to swing every single turn. And as long as you have that little buddy, you have a 5/5 that will devastate your opponent's small creatures. And of course, finally we have Jar Binks, Agent of Chaos. For 2 blue-red, you get a 0/5 legendary creature Gungan with Productive Incompetence. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player exiles the top card of their library until they exile a non-land card. Starting with you in turn order, each player votes for a card that hasn't been chosen. Each player casts the spell they chose without paying its mana cost. So of course Jar is wacky, but very good for you. Each player will exile the top card of their deck until they hit a non-land card, and then you get first dibs of one of those spells that you get to cast. The person who's last in turn order next to you is going to get the scraps. But, you know, you paid for the card, so you get the benefit. Also, an 05 means that he can block really well, and just a fun little Chaos Commander. Please let me know what you think of these commanders. It was my first time designing cards in quite a while. WotC hit me up. I'm really good at this. But anyway, let me know which of the commanders you would build and which of the commanders is your favorite. I may be a smidgen biased, but I think they're all fun. And they're all very unique and things we really haven't seen in Magic. So, you know, again, WotC, you have my number. Let me know if you want me to do any more. You know, I did try to do one of each dual color pairing. And who knows, maybe I'll do 3. I still haven't touched the Emperor yet. So let me know. And may the 4th be with you.